I have to say, first of all, we have the privilege, which is an interesting one, to have the last panel of the last day of this conference. So we will adapt to that. But I think it's important to say that until now, it is interesting for me because most of the times, you know, when you are in book fairs or conferences and so on, translators and book professionals and you know, the tech guys and so on in general do not really mix. We have conferences in parallel, and I would say an added bonus in this discussion is that we got a good view, at least some cases, from many Balkans, many markets in our regions, Balkans, which is, we rarely do that, I have to say, and there is not much material available anyway. It's not like the large market. But let me go to our discussion. So let me introduce you briefly. Enrico Turrin, he's Deputy Director of the Federation of European Publishers, which is the European body of publishers associations. The voice of the publishers associations in the European decision-making process, an economist and a data guy, as you will remember from his presentation. Luis González, from the Fundación Germán. You said it right. Yeah, I can never say it right. Yes. So, but it's not just the foundation. He is founder also of the Red Magine event in Madrid, which gives him, I believe, a good overview of what is innovation, what is going on. He has a previous role also in the Spanish Ministry of Culture for reading promotion and readers' engagement, and now also Parix, which is a school for book professionals. Ella Varošanec, right? Yeah, good. You already know her from her the presentation, but it is important to say that she's a translator, but also he has, as you understand, very active role in forming the CEATL's policy, the Council of European Association, Translators Association. And last, Milena Tasheva. She represents Ciela, the publishing house, which is a publishing house and a chain of bookstore, and she is an editor. So I will start with a short comment from you about, I mean, I said before that we are close to an important anniversary, which is 3 years from ChatGPT. So I would like to briefly listen to your views about this, what happened the last 3 years, how your attitude probably has changed towards AI and generative AI, and also to some extent what you think your colleagues believe. I mean, your sector, if you are a translator, or the publishers associations, the publishers, and so on. Let me start with you. That's okay.
I'm a millennial, so I've read enough books to be a little bit afraid of an evil AI that is going to enslave us and use us as batteries. But all jokes aside, I am both amazed and, yeah, a little bit afraid of AI. It's a great tool, but the axe is also a tool. And if a firefighter uses the axe to break the door and save people or books from a burning building, that's a great, he's done a great job. But serial killers also use axes. So that's something to think about. And on another really personal note, I believe that there is some hype and some investor balloon around the AI train, like it was with the .com, and we are about to see a few AI startups crash very soon. And we will have to see if they will take publishing with them.
Well, I think you already heard of what we royal we, because I'm representing Seattle here, so everything I said there, if something is personal, there's going to be a disclaimer. I would like to point out that all the materials I was mentioning, counterpoint, survey, statement, etc., you can find on our site, because somebody was asking me. I'm just going to use my time for that. So basically, we were concerned from the beginning, and we are growing more and more concerned. We were expecting to be protected by bigger players, because as I said, here we are volunteers, but not just us, generally talking cultural industry. And I mean, I had no expertise in tech before this all started. I now know way too much about how AI works, how legal background, etc. And I never wanted to know any of that. Really, I was really happy without this knowledge. And I think that lots of us are feeling the same way. And I agree also with Milena that, as I said, it's on the other hand, relentless hype, because I know that AI models, existing AI models, are not as good as their providers would like us to believe, because there is so much money involved in it. And it's very hard to fight that kind of money. But I also think it's worth fighting it. If we fall, we'll fall with dignity. But because I really think that our society, literally translation literature are just one part of that, but I really believe that society as a whole, culture and languages of each one of us are at stake.
So, Michalis, as you mentioned the anniversary, I was remembering now that after Christmas, between 22 and 23, we in Spain have to wait until the three wise men bring the presents, the gifts. So afterwards, a friend of mine sent me a text about reading promotion. I asked him, where did you find this? I thought it was some part of my remarks in a newspaper. He explained to me that it was something that he got from ChatGPT. So I was overwhelmed, very interested, and this was the old version, first steps of ChatGPT, let's say, and now it's quite improved. So that for a person who was told off 20 years ago by the president of the Spanish Publishers Association, Enrico, that I was a kind of digital evangelist, is funny enough to confess now here that I am becoming like a Luddite because of the AI. I'm seeing things that are weakening my enthusiasm about digital and technology in the context of publishing industry.
And well, to answer the fundamental question of the panel, who's afraid of AI? Well, I'm also a bit. I'm much older than a millennial, but that means that I watched Terminator enough times to know that I mean, AI is bound to figure out that we are useless, except maybe as food or waste and something like that, unless we teach it to have, well, which I'm not sure is possible, to feel somehow, which probably also is the reason why it's not and might never be able to replace humans in certain areas. And that's what I hope, actually, that they don't replace us. But it's, at the same time, it's inevitable. It's there. We have to deal with it. We cannot ignore it. And in fairness, I mean, ChatGPT is 3 years old, but we had a General Assembly of the Federation of European Publishers 6 years ago in Athens, and we dedicated a professional session to AI. So we saw it coming. Well, it's not like, I'm not saying we tried to stop it or anything, but we saw it coming, and but even seeing it coming wasn't enough to be prepared for what it's actually become, and it has permeated every single aspect of of our work as lobbyists, and I suppose also of what publishers are doing. It's the main wish I have is that we could talk about anything else all the time, but it has become impossible not to talk about it, and that's why we're here. Since you're here, also clearly you're still interested. So I can subscribe to everything that you said in the previous panel, Michalis. It's we have to deal with it. We have to deal with it.
Thank you. Actually, it's interesting because you reminded of this session of FEP in Athens because I was there in the audience, and still it is true. It was a good example. I mean, in hindsight, of course, not at the time, how limited was the view of the publishing world, or what it would affect. It was just like, you may have dynamic pricing, or you may have recommendation, nothing short of what we see today, which is across the board. So let me prepare you all that at the end of this discussion, I mean, like in half an hour and so on, everyone could, and it's encouraged to take the microphone, share views, but also, I would say, use cases, experiences, where things are heading, how his or her organization uses it. It is an important part. Also, of course, it could be also questions for us, and so on. So let us go a step further, and I think it is a good idea to start with you again, Milena, in the sense that you represent a publishing house, a large one. So it would be really interesting for us to know how you use AI officially or unofficially. In which cases it is accepted, because I described many cases actually, and also I would say if you use it in a generic way, like go use ChatGPT or even more advanced tools, maybe.
Be careful with unofficial. It's recorded.
I have a funny personal story about using ChatGPT. So when I travel with my cousin, I'm part of the luggage. I don't know where we are going. I don't know. I know when we are leaving, probably, and the country we are going to. So in May we went to Spain. We went to Alicante and to a neighboring city to see palm trees. My cousin is crazy about palm trees. So we spent around 2 hours looking for a waterfall that wasn't in the city at all. Because she used ChatGPT to make the traveling plan. So we don't use AI in our editorial process. We don't use it in creative process. I'm not sure if they use it in marketing because that's whole other department, but I believe they do because the whole marketing industry is on the AI train, and you either have to adapt or run behind the train, and publishing is notoriously conservative and slow to adapt and evolve, but there is the moral border. And for now, the moral border is AI is not allowed in the creative and editorial process and in writing. And that's not even official statement. That's personal statement for everyone, every single editor I know. So as people, we are seduced by AI. We want to explore, research. I use it to do my shopping list and meal prep plan. But I don't trust. I trust AI for recipes and what to eat, but I don't trust it to do my job. And there is also the added pressure of reputation, because there are some AI-generated covers on the market or AI-generated books, and I don't want to call them books, but products, and but they are mostly done by self-published authors or minor publishing houses. That this is not their main field of expertise or scope of activity. And being Ciela and being one of the largest publishing houses, we are held by our readers on a much higher level, but we are also held on the same accountability level by translators and by illustrators and other artists. So I have, in January, I asked a very famous illustrator that works mostly outside Bulgaria for Fairywood and other bookish boxes like that to illustrate an end paper for special edition. And her first question wasn't about money, delivery, time, or something else. It was, do you use AI in creative work? And if I said yes, she would have refused. So you have to choose if you want to work with the people you want to work, the people that bring additional value to the book you do, or you want to be fast and shiny. And we have the pressure. We have the pressure to be faster, shinier, to do it with AI, but we still don't.
So to follow up a little bit on this topic, because I think it is important, I will share not the details of a little discussion we had, Luis, last night at the end. So, for example, so what the discussion was about, doing things like copywriting or marketing. It wasn't about writing a book, for sure, but and then taking the result from ChatGPT, copy paste it, and this is what I will use. So I think one aspect of this is that, in a way, first of all, I believe that all creative people, one way or another, use some kind of AI. I mean, if they are tech savvy enough, at least. But using it is okay. Copy paste is not okay. To put it that way, because it is maybe translation, but it is, in my view, it's okay to say like, okay, I used to draft ideas for whatever, even creative work, and that is important. And of course, I want your view in the sense that even if you don't know it, you are maybe using some kind of AI because it is so much integrated our time today in the tools we already use. So I don't know how you see that evolving in the future for you.
That's a good question, and I don't have a straightaway answer, to be honest. We work a lot with translation, and with half of our production per year is translated books. So we, like I said, adapt and adopt the best practices from our foreign partners. I think 2 weeks after ChatGPT became popular, we started receiving contracts for translation rights and so on, for acquisition that had the clauses for prohibiting using AI, and those clauses are not getting shorter; they are getting more and more detailed, more and more. People insist more and more on them, and for almost every cover approval I have now, the first question is, did you use AI? So we even started checking Shutterstock images if they are created with AI. It's a tool, it's an ads. You can use the ads to save people from a burning building, and you can use the ads to murder people. It's it's the hand that holds the axe that makes the decision what the axe is used for.
So I would like to continue with Ella. I think it was really interesting that, that you summarized Seattle positions and so on. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about in your understanding, in your policy, I would say, or your suggestions actually, because it's something evolving, in what ways AI could be used in a workflow of translation. So I not say it is a translation, but I'm thinking of various scenarios. I won't mention them all because could be like you use it for a first pass, or you use it, I don't know, for specific passages and so on and so forth. Which of these you would consider legitimate uses?
Well, Seattle doesn't have a policy on it really, because its stance, all in all, is that all translations should be done from scratch. Well, from scratch, but from the beginning to the end by the human creativity, not using AI. In a sense that it could be used as a tool. I gave few examples in my presentation. Now, disclaimer, personal thing. This is not something that all of my colleagues would agree with. I was hesitant at first to use it because of the ecological implications. But as I started advocating, I had to start to use it because I cannot talk about something I'm not using. So I used various models, etc., just to see. I never use it to put a paragraph in it, to put... I put a sentence at most, and not in a way kind of translate that, because when I say it's useless, it might sound... if you are not working in this field, especially in literal translation, that doesn't mean a lot. But the output it gives me, first, as Theodora mentioned today, it has a priming effect. That means that if I just see one solution, I'm going to have a stance towards it. So it's or positive and just take it, and I won't be able to come up with something new, or negative, that I'm going to reject it, although it might be good. But I do sometimes ask to comment certain word in context. So this is the phrase. Could you tell me if that phrase is used in a spoken Spanish? Is that very common word? That's something that statistically can be checked, something that it would take me a lot of time to look for, and that it can do much faster. Is it a colloquial word, or that's something I can also see in dictionaries, but as language evolves, that's something that it could check on Facebook, Reddit, etc. much faster. I sometimes use it to summarize, I don't know, author's biography, or to give me some pages where I could go for author's biography, because sometimes it's quite hard to find anything, and it goes deeper. That's deeper than just me putting it in the browser and see first results. But then everything else, so let's say, although that's one very important thing, and why it's dangerous for beginners to use it, it's very prone to hallucinations, all the models I've been trying on. So I was translating a book a month ago, and the title sounded very much like a poem, Tus sueños imperios han sido. So it sounded like something from somewhere. And I asked it, where is it from? And very fluently, very quickly, it says it's from Rubén Darío, which is Guatemalan, Mexican poet from the end of beginning of 20th century. And I looked, and it was very suspicious to me, because I know Rubén Darío, and that doesn't sound like Rubén Darío. So I said, give me the poem where it is from. And it gives me a poem that doesn't have that mark. And it has something. I dreamt of empire, something, but not the same thing. And it turns out that it was actually from La Vida es Sueño, The Life is a Dream, from Calderón de la Barca, from 16th century. So, like nothing to do one with the other, but you have to know enough to start with. So, I think with the AI, it's very important to already be a formed professional, and we are going back to beginning of the problem there. If the trained professionals are chased from the field, or in the other hand, if they're not even entering because level position, junior positions, not just in professional translation, but in all.
Yeah, please.
So just let me finish. Then there won't be anybody to actually, at some point, work with a machine. As we say, it's inevitable, etc. So I think that's something that we should all take into consideration when we talk about AI.
Something what you said reminded me of a discussion I had with a friend of mine who is game developer. He's a designer, level designer, and he is also without work for a few months now because of AI. And his position is the same. I'm gonna wait out this shit. I'm sorry for the language. I'm quoting. And they will need us to teach the AI how to do our job one day, because
It's not very happy perspective.
yeah, it's not. But I can't retell it. But his idea was that when they force out the not so good designers and the people that don't have much experience, are not really talented in their job and so on, they will need the really experienced one, the top talent, to teach the AI.
Let me challenge you a little bit, though, I have to say. Because, I mean, okay, I understand. There are many horror stories about using AI, but I believe, and there are many stories that are much more successful when it comes to AI. Or, I mean, interesting. One thing for me that is interesting is that more and more I hear from publishers that, translators, for example, give shorter terms for delivering a book translation, and actually they do deliver. It's not just a promise. Because you mentioned that was interesting that a translator needs like a month for 100 pages, on average, I suppose. So if you get a full novel like in a month, like 200, this means something. And it's true that also translators, for example, sometimes you see them that they have translated so many books, I mean, based on statistics in a year, which is, I mean, okay, you have to sleep at some point, I believe. That's one the more, let's say, it's not anecdotal, by the way, I have many such cases. But I'll give also a personal story, which is, I think, a positive one. We have talked about Limassol Book Fair and so on. We had a newsletter, which was, I mean, our site for professional program is bilingual, English and Greek. But the newsletters, we didn't do it bilingual, okay? And they are quite long because it takes time, and actually I do the newsletter, so, I mean, there is so much time. But using AI translation, now we have bilingual newsletter, which was actually, yes, putting it, all the text in ChatGPT. Then I had to edit, for sure, and I have to judge. That's where human expertise is. What of this was wrong, what was right, there was, or not appropriate, I would say. It's not just right or wrong. So maybe there are some positive examples that I just wanted to highlight before we continue.
Yeah, but it's very important to note that newsletter is not the same as a literary work. So yeah, I don't argue that there are uses for AI. I don't argue that there even, I mean, if there is, I don't know, a research work that is published in Norwegian and it's accessible, which means that the machine already ate it for training, because everything that is on the internet, I could put that work in the AI to see what is it about, and if I really want to ask my colleague that speaks Norwegian to tell me more. but that's not the same as actually translate a literal
I
word.
know the difference. So I just wanted to, put out some positive stories because I think they exist. And let's move to Luis, if we may, because I was thinking two topics that would be interesting for you to talk about. The one is how you judge, because you have an overview of the industry or curating the event and so on, how they see the industry using so far AI. And
You mean reimagining?
Yes, reimagine because you curate this event, which is a very good overview of what's going on. And the second, which has to do with FARX, what skills do you see, involving, there is interest and so on, and how we can tackle that?
Reimagining was created after I witnessed the opening remarks during the inauguration of a professional book fair back in 2005. I was working before in the Ministry of Culture, as you mentioned, as a civil servant, and I was very surprised why during the last 5 years the Spanish Association of Publishers didn't change anything in their narrative, in their lobbying remarks and such. Despite I was convinced that internet changed everything, let's say now, almost 30 years ago, 25 and not. And then I decided that we should, as a foundation, help the Spanish industry and the European industry and the international industry to understand what was happening. That's why we were obsessed with internet, then e-readers, then business models, streaming and this kind of stuff, and then blockchain and such and such. And then some years ago we started with AI. So I think that we witnessed, Enrico has been during many years in reimagining, as you also, Michalis, the views during the last 3 years may have been changing a lot, because I think that there were at the beginning something that I could describe as astonishment. Then there were different approaches from the big groups and the small independent publishing houses, very different approaches. And also there were shifts in either approaches. Clearly, in the case of the big publishing groups, I remember their remarks 3 years ago, and what are the policies now? They are changing, and also they are secret. I mean that the big publishing groups never share with the audience the strategies regarding AI. So there is a divergence between different kind of publishers, and the range of options is really, really big now. So you explained in your previous presentation the different kind of uses that we can find about AI. And I think that the difference, the most important difference is that the 3-4 big publishing groups are in-house innovating on AI. And the use of AI, I think that will be at the beginning more or less focused on marketing. And personalization of the buyer persona experience. I am convinced, listening at them also during the lunch breaks in Madrid. No? Regarding FARX, FARX is a school for now Spanish publishing professionals. The next year we are going to open these to Latin American countries. And we have 3 trainings, 3 courses in our catalog linked to AI. We have 55 training courses. We already had in less than 3 years something like almost 10,000 professionals with certificates. Most of the trainings last during 300 hours, so are 15 SETS. Now we are designing shorter trainings. Okay, the first training on AI is a long one, 15 ECTSs, with more than 1,200 professionals already certificated. Then we had to launch a new one, which is just an introduction. So it could be very similar to the first modules of the previous training. And now the most successful is AI on marketing. So in general terms, I think that we have 1,600 already trained professionals. I suppose that we will have to expand the kind of trainings linked to the AI stuff. This is the general view that I can share with you. Then we have another kind of challenges, of course, that are linked to the continuous innovation. So we have to change the edition of November, and in February it's going to be different because the tools are changing. So the first version of the course is completely different from the version that is now being learned by the students. Very expensive.
Yeah. It is. It's very fast evolving. And yeah, going to Enrico, I think, I know I mentioned about copyright and what's going on and so on, but it's important because you represent the Federation of European Publishers, and because copyright is, the bedrock of this industry. Nowadays, I would say it's more of a bedrock than typography, which was the original bedrock. So I think it's important to, have a fuller understanding of how FEP sees things evolving in AI and copyright, and especially what if really, EU AI Act was presented as something, of a breakthrough, but where things stand.
Well, Ella already commented a bit on the effectiveness of the AI Act in ensuring copyright protection in that domain, and I think we're more or less in line. It's not as useful as we wished it would be. We fought hard to ensure that copyright protection was mentioned in the Act. Until, that far we got. But in practice, there's still a lot. No, but in practice, there's a lot to do because the principle AI must respect copyright is there, fantastic. But then, of course, we all know that principles must be translated into reality. And then came, but I don't want to go too much into legal details. First, because I'm an economist, and second, because you will die. So the law is not clear enough to be practically implementable. So there came a number of other instruments, code of practice, guidelines, and so on. And those are possibly even less satisfactory. And for example, we insisted to have transparency. Like you train AI with our stuff. First of all, well, you should ask for permission, possibly pay, definitely let us know. Even afterwards, at least afterwards, let us know. And still we're having trouble getting clear guidance on the fact that, yes, we damn well want to know what they have used, if they have used all of our content for training. Now, likely, we cannot prove it yet, but I'm pretty sure that they have already used every single book ever published for AI training. They're not telling us. We catch them sometimes. We catch them using pirated sites. We catch them using illegal databases of books. we try to go after them, but of course they have all the money in the world and they can pay all the lawyers in the world. But I hope from that point of view, we're getting there. And by the way, I'd like to mention, I don't know if you know already, but 2 days ago, fundamental sentence in Germany, GEMA, German Collecting Society, managed, the law, it's not like that. They won, first degree judgment, and not even on books, it's on music lyrics. I think you have even a stronger case for book content. So to have the judge declare that, yeah, the fact that AI had ingested and then was spitting out all the song lyrics was indeed illegal. So there is hope from the point of view of European legislation, even if the law is sort of, for the time being, not completely satisfactory. But on the other hand, we are probably in front of the biggest content theft of history. And the problem is that after having stolen all the content and not wanting to admit it and not wanting to pay and so on and so forth, now they're using it and they're spitting out stuff that uses this content. And again, without telling us and so on. And the fact that AI is not, definitely for the time being, but maybe it will never be able to really mimic human creativity, doesn't preclude the fact that they're invading the market with AI-produced books. Then it becomes an insane venture, because then you have AI-generated reviews of AI-generated books, and the whole cycle, and then AI translated, like there's a whole parallel publishing sector in the mind of the AI, but it's contaminating ours, and that's definitely not nice. Talk about translations. I mean, again, a couple of days ago, Amazon announced that for their self-publishing whatever thingy, yeah, now they offer AI translation on top. So like it's garbage to the cube by now, like whatever, like already stuff that probably shouldn't be around will get even worse, because it'll be translated in ways that shouldn't be around. But willing or not, then you find that on for sale.
What we can hope for is that it's just going to contaminate itself, so no models would be useful, and all these data sets from 2022 will be the ones that are actually, so every AI is going to collapse. Well, let's go back to zero and see what we're going to do now.
It's no coincidence that the term AI swap exists. I spent a lot of time in reader spaces, online, social media, and so on. People, there is a very big divide and like a schisma between readers about the use of AI by other readers. And I mentioned to you about copyright, that we have this, I think it's Bulgarian phenomenon, fan-made translations with ChatGPT. It's hell on wheels, but maybe later. Readers are getting tired of AI swap when it comes to reviews, to translations, to covers, and even to writing, especially when it comes to really high commercial genre fiction like romance and romantasy. There were a few scandals with quite popular authors that even some self-published author that left the prompt. Yeah, that was really funny. I guess for everyone except the author. But yeah, so people are starting to get, especially people who love authors, and if the author gets a stand against AI, his real fans, his real readers are adopting that stand. So because the publisher will always be the big bad wolf, where the person that eats baby heads and drinks writer's tears. It's not possible to change that narrative. But if authors and translators and illustrators and the creators have the stance, I think it's not a war, because sometimes sometimes it's presented like it's publishers and creators are against each other on the AI front. It's not like that. Publishers are going to use the AI as a tool to sell books better, and everybody wins from that. Author wins, translators win. I hope readers win too.
So let me, yeah.
I would like to talk about readers.
Exactly.
About readers.
That was
Because
I
you
was
mentioned-
going to
Yes, because I think that the most worrying side nowadays, from a perspective of AI, is regarding readers. Reading means effort. Reading means that if you do an effort, your brain changes, improve. You have a lot of research that show us that reading delays the effects of some neuronal decay and let's say from one age. Reading means effort, meaning that is something that you do by yourself during a long period. So AI is interrupting because we are going to witness in 2 or 3 years that most of the applications will be proactive, will be jumping on our devices all the time. Secondly, AI reinforces the natural laziness that we have. And this is very important in the case of people under 20 years old, let's say. It's going to be really, really big challenge. And also, AI will be installed in some applications, in some products, as a way to stimulate, how could I say this, dopamine. And I think this landscape is really tough in terms of reading as an activity that you have to do in order to change your mind, in order to be a new creator, a new translator, a new, I don't know, a new writer. And I think that is something that should be on the desk of the education and cultural ministries and the investigation and industry, because, let me just introduce a European view. I still don't understand why the big tech companies from the west coast of the USA have such a huge influence in the policy making and in the regulation in Europe. Doesn't make any sense, because in terms of, yeah, I know, but we as a citizens, we should say something, and civil society also should be addressing this problem, because then I will finish now. I remember an anecdote speaking with the the president of the Association of Publishers in one region in Spain. We were talking 20-something years ago, and he was thrilled because Google scanned all the books. I told him, I can't understand you. It's the same as if I go to the shop over there and I take everything for free, I will be judged and maybe I should go to jail. I don't know, why do you think this is good? So I think everything is linked, the reading situation and the industry situation, and also the geostrategic situation of Europe. because this continent is a continent of readers and creators. This is our strength.
So this is a nice conclusion, I have to say, because we have to give ground a little bit to the audience.